Welcome to SVL Free News and Views for Monday, November the 5th. We had a great weekend here with Pumpkin Fest in downtown Statesville. I want to thank our sponsors, Mitchell College, Randy Marion, Piedmont Healthcare, Blue Harbor Bank, Fast Field's Key to Escape, the Escape Room, Statesville Family YMCA, and Crossroads Cycling. I'm standing here in front of the City Hall, which an event's going to be coming up after Thanksgiving. A Christmas Carol is going to start here and roam through downtown Statesville. If you've not got your tickets yet, this will be the second annual. Go to StatesvilleTheater.com. I'm going to be playing Scrooge again, having a great time. It's a great way to wander through the downtown and learn all about the Charles Dickens epic story, A Christmas Carol. Okay, on today's story, on Friday, we had Dr. Tim Brewer talking about what's going on at Mitchell College with security and also some things like that. And we wanted to talk today to Brady Johnson, Superintendent of Iredell Statesville Schools, and Martin Page, Chairman of the Iredell County School Board. They talked about the quarter-cent sales tax referendum, which is on the ballot. And you can see, if you haven't voted yet, you have to go vote at your precinct, of course, on Tuesday. But they're talking about what they would use the money for there. So let's take a listen. Mike Fuhrman talks with both of them.
Thanks, Brian. I'm here today with Iredell Statesville Schools Superintendent Brady Johnson and School Board Chairman Martin Page. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Absolutely, thank you.
Now, we're days away now from the election and the referendum on the ballot to raise local sales tax by a quarter cent. The county commission has said the majority of that money would go to the Iredell Statesville Schools, Mooresville Graded Schools, and Mitchell College, with the idea that money would be spent on improving school safety and security. Very interested in speaking with you today about the state of the need in that area in your district, as well as what you've done in recent years to make the schools safer and secure for our students. So maybe let's just start with the need. Can you give our viewers an idea of what the needs are across the district to improve safety and security in the schools?
Mm-hmm. Well, to begin with, I think anybody that watches the national news and is informed can see that in the United States, our culture has changed. And on any given day, you can turn on the news and there's another story about a mass shooting, be it at a church or a school or in a workplace or something of that nature. So it is something that is constantly on our minds. And what I like to remind our principals and anybody that listens is we're not immune to that type of violence. It can happen here. And it's not pleasant to think about, but there are days when we think it's not a question of if it will happen, but when it will happen here. There have been some shootings on our campuses in the past, and we've been very, very fortunate over the years. School safety and security is our number one priority. And academics, of course, is what we're designed to do, and that's what the parents count on us for, is to educate their children. But at the end of the day, everybody wants their child to come home safely. And every staff member wants to go home safely at the end of the day. So over the years, our Board of Education has focused on school safety, has invested a lot of money. We also have some great strategic partnerships, like with the Sheriff's Department, the municipal police departments. Those folks have gone out of their way to help us, too, by writing grants or including SROs in their budgets and things of that nature. After some of these big national events, our board always processes that and says, let's take a look. What can we do to enhance safety and security? So in our school system, if you visit one of our elementary schools today, they're pretty well locked down. There's one point of entry. You have to be buzzed in. You have to present identification, get a visitor's pass, things of that nature. But there are some exceptions to that. You can go to Harmony Elementary School, for example, and while the new building is good and locked up and tight, there's classrooms up there that open to the great outdoors. The teacher's classroom literally opens to the backyard of the school. We have that in a couple places throughout the school system. That's something that needs to change. We just can't allow that anymore. We also see a tremendous amount of need in our school system for increasing not only the SRO presence and police presence and things of that nature, but we're grossly understaffed when it comes to nurses. We have 15 nurses serving 20,500 children. Last year we had an incident at Lake Norman High School where a young lady was in a chemistry class. She fainted. She fell on the floor out of her desk. And the nurse in that school ran and got the defibrillator, shocked her, brought her back to life. When I heard that story, I said, thank God that happened at Lake Norman High School, because that's the only school of our 36 schools that has a full-time nurse. If that had happened at any other school, there's a great chance that child would have lied there on the floor and died that day.
Wow.
Mental health counseling is something that we need greatly in the school system. Before the recession, we had a licensed mental health counselor in every middle school and high school. During the recession, we cut that program 50% due to budget cuts. But in the last 2 school years, we've had 4 suicides in our school system, and one of those suicides literally took place on campus during the school day when a young man hung himself on the stage in one of our high schools. That's unprecedented. Those types of things never used to happen. We've had 10, we are aware of 10 attempted suicides where interventions were put in place and were prevented in the last school year. And so addressing the mental health needs of our students is another priority for us. We also want to take a look at just there's lots of things technology-wise that you can do today. We're going to see a demonstration in a few days by a company that has an app that you can download to your phone. It enhances communication with parents during an emergency, which could help us do a better job. The shooting down in Mecklenburg County earlier this week, it was a debacle trying to communicate with those parents and let them know what was going on and whatnot. So there are electronic solutions to those kind of things, but they cost money. We also know that there is software out there that will monitor the social media accounts of our students. And when they identify dangerous words or phrases, or they hear chatter about things inappropriate going on, it gets reported to school officials and to law enforcement. So that would help not only the schools, but the whole community. So there's lots and lots of things that we can do, that we should be doing to enhance the safety, security, and the well-being of our kids.
Now, Martin, tell us about how this discussion has played out with the Iredell Statesville Schools Board of Education, and does this mesh with the mission of the school board at this point in time?
Well, it's got to. It's got to be, in my opinion, our number one priority right now is safety and security. It's such a broad topic, though, and everybody seems to want to narrow it into little bits. And we've got to look at it from the whole, because it's not a simple thing. Putting the SRO in every school is not going to answer all our problems. Administration keeps us informed on what they're looking at and what's going on. Sam Kennington, board member, and myself just attended a 3-day law conference in Asheville that had multiple panels of law enforcement, lawyers, people from the Justice Department. Very important information, I think. And I guess the main thing I took out of is everybody's struggling like we are, the complexity of the whole system. Because it's got to be a joint. It can't be one solution. It's got to be multiple solutions. And then you get to different schools and you even have different things that each school needs. So it's going to be a complex matter of setting everything that's going to be the best for each situation. But that's the way it's going to have to be handled. Again, so much of this takes money. That's been one of our biggest issues. We're a very low-funded system. I think we do a remarkable job with what we have. Our audits have been perfect. We spend the money like we say we're going to spend it, and that's to the board the tough thing. The system's going to come up with some solutions. Then we've got to figure out how to put the solutions in place, and that's what keeps us up at night.
So, from your perspective, the school district, as well as Mitchell Community College and Mooresville Graded Schools, are going to have to wrestle with these issues, and they're going to have to pay for them. And the county commission is responsible for funding them. So this quarter-cent sales tax increase would be a new revenue stream that would provide some funding. And if that passes, it would be great, and you would get some funding July 1 of next year. But you feel like the county is going to have to spend money on these to solve these issues one way or the other.
Somebody's going to have to spend it. We're already spending a tremendous amount of our education money in safety and security. We've added 2 mental health counselors in the last 2 years, simply because of the need we see. I mean, there's over 3,000 school-age suicides every year in America. There's a tremendous amount of problems now with drug overdose, opioids. I mean, everybody realizes that problem. Well, that just comes down, all society's problems just come down to the school system. Mm-hmm. And it's not just our kids that may have opioid problems. Now we're dealing with a lot of our children whose parents have opioid mm-hmm. problems. That puts a whole different situation, and that's where we've got to have some help for these children. They're dealing with problems that we would have never suspected children dealing with, when I went to school. So it's really become, again, a very complicated system. We want to provide for the safety and security of our children. That's better than what we're doing. We're doing the best. I think we're doing the best we can with what we've got. We've tried to continue to add the stuff. Just adding a SRO this year at one of our middle schools. We asked for a grant from the state. They're talking about their $35 million money they're putting towards school safety, and we got $33,000.
Okay.
So and not even paying our part of a SRO, we're going to add $17,000 of our local money, and the sheriff's department's going to equip it, and we'll be able to put a SRO in one more of our middle schools. That leaves us one middle school without SROs, and we've got to make that happen. So yes, the money's got to come from somewhere. The quarter-cent sales tax is absolutely the best place. I don't like taxes either. I especially don't like property taxes. At least the quarter-cent sales tax is going to be paid by everyone. If you rent, you're still going to pay it. The numbers vary from 40 to 60% of it will be paid by people that don't even live in Iredell County. Mm-hmm. And I guess what bothers me is so many people are coming out against it, but they don't think twice about going to Concord Mills to shop, mm-hmm. or Charlotte to shop, or Hickory to shop, or Winston-Salem to shop. Well, they're paying it there. Right. They're paying it for their schools, but they don't want it for our own schools. Right. That's the point that I can't quite get. Is it's a quarter of a penny, on a dollar. So it's really not a lot of money, and it's not on food. It's not on groceries. Mm-hmm. It's not on medicine. It's not on fuel. Mm-hmm. So it's really not on the necessities of life.
Right.
So this is a good opportunity for our citizens in Iredell County to do something good for our children at very little cost to them.
Okay. Now, Mr. Johnson, I guess opponents of this tax increase will say the district, should spend the money they have more wisely. Mm-hmm. And some people have pointed to the school board's approval recently of spending $1 million for a new maintenance bay for the school buses, which includes a bus washing system. And a lot of people have just kind of latched onto that and said, well, that proves the district doesn't know how to spend its money. I mean, can you explain the different pools of money that the district has to spend and how the district could not have used that money for SROs, for example?
Right. Yes. That's a great question. I appreciate you asking that question because we too have heard some criticism that if you're spending $1 million to add service bays at the bus garage, obviously the need for student safety and security isn't as great as you're leading us to believe. Our bus garage was built in 1959, and if you go over there and see the service bay now where the buses are washed, it is functionally obsolete. What a lot of folks don't realize is the state of North Carolina funds one bus garage per county. Mm-hmm. So our bus garage that's located over on Oakland Avenue serves Iredell, Statesville, and Mooresville graded. Those guys are responsible for servicing 300 buses in this county. We currently have 5 service bays at the garage. So the work that's getting ready to take place over there will add 2 bays. One will be a maintenance bay, which is greatly needed. With the 5 bays that we have, if you've got a bus in there that needs an engine replaced, then that can tie up a bay for a week. That brings you down to 4 bays with 300 buses to service. So the need for more service bays is tremendous there. Somehow this got turned into, it was a wash pit, and it's much, much more than a wash pit. But even from maintaining the buses from a standpoint of making sure that they're washed and kept clean and whatnot, a lot of folks do not understand that when the local school system has to purchase the bus originally, the state of North Carolina will replace the bus when it has 250,000 miles or it's been in service for 20 years, whichever occurs first. So our Board of Education purchases that bus, hopes to get 20 years out of it, and keeping that bus clean is part of that equation, making sure that we can keep it operable and keep it looking good for all of those years. So painting the buses and washing the buses is certainly part of the equation of doing a good job, being a good steward of a piece of equipment that cost about $95,000 a piece.
Can I add something? Were you finished that?
Oh, no,
I didn't mean
go
to
ahead.
cut you off.
Yeah.
You know, the board has said we didn't know what we were doing, basically, by a lot of people. Well, we looked at the numbers. I mean, the numbers, sure, and you say $1 million for a facility. When you're building a commercial building nowadays, $1 million just doesn't get you what people think it will. I mean, it's just construction prices are extremely high right now. We started looking at this 3 years ago. I actually went with the committee that went out to other districts and looked at what they were doing. So this is not anything new. What people don't understand is the washing equipment is going to save us money. When we look at the cost, if we break it down for 40 years on the building, it's only $10,000 per bay. If we look at the washing equipment and give it a 20-year life cycle, it's $1,150 a year. So when we look at all that and you break it down over time, we're going to have a tremendous cost savings by moving into an automated system. We're going to go from 2 man-hours to wash the exterior of a bus down to 10 minutes probably. We'll also a lot of times have to pull mechanics off the line to clean these buses. We're also going to be able to do it more often. We're looking at probably 3 times a year, at least on the bus. Every time they come in for service, we'll be able to run them through the washer very quickly. Adding the other bay is absolutely necessary. The buses nowadays, a lot of repair is anybody, all these guys that use diesel, the diesel guys understand that since the law was changed and now they're these efficient low emission diesels, they're actually taking a lot more maintenance than the older diesel engines. So we're running into that there's more maintenance. So we've got to have that extra bay. We're also doing a tremendous amount of work in the parking lot. If you've ever been over there and seen, we have drainage issues. So we're adding a lot of rock. We're adding about 10,000 square feet of asphalt. There will be asphalt, and all this was needed to be done. It needed to be done a long time ago. Looking at this is a cost savings to the county over time. People tend not to look at where you're headed. They just want to look at where you're at. So I think this is a good investment. The numbers add up. Everything's. I think it's a very good investment. Not sure why we're catching so much grief over it.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add too that a lot of citizens don't understand that our budgets come to us in pots of money, and they are mandated by general statute what it can and cannot be spent on. So the service bays that are being added at the bus garage are being paid for out of the local capital budget. And by general statute, that money has to be spent on buildings, grounds, and equipment. We cannot hire personnel with that. We can't hire nurses or SROs or counselors We can't buy software for telephones. That has to be spent on these buildings, and it has to be spent on those buses. So we are following the legal requirements of budgetary practices in North Carolina. We have also been saving for this project for 3 years. For 3 consecutive years, we've put money from the capital budget back until we had enough money to pay cash for this project. So there is no borrowing. It's all being paid for up front. And as Mr. Page pointed out, great need for this, which will create a lot of efficiencies at the bus garage and help the mechanics do a better job of actually servicing buses. You know, you got diesel mechanics washing buses. That don't make sense to anybody.
Right.
So now those mechanics' time will not be spent out there doing manual labor on a wash job. Also, I wish everybody could go over there and see the current facility, because we've got buses that we can't even get in the bay, because buses are larger now than when that facility was built in 1959. Another thing that I would point out too is we've had a number of worker comp claims where we've had our folks over there trying to service buses in this obsolete bay that have gotten injured. When you pull a bus into the current bay, you can't stand up on top of that bus. The guys literally have to squat with their brushes to wash the roof of the bus. We've had people fall off. So there's some cost savings from the standpoint of just protecting our employees and making sure that they have a safe environment to work in as well.
Thank you for taking the time to explain that. I think a lot of people don't understand that when the county gives you money, money goes to facilities, money goes to teacher supplements, money goes in all these different pockets, whereas I think some people at the county level say, well, we just give the school district all the money and they're responsible for how they spend it. So just to summarize, the election is already underway. I think more than 10,000 people have already participated in early voting. The polls are open from 7 to 7 on Tuesday. Hope everyone will take the opportunity to vote, and I think these two gentlemen have made a good case today for supporting the local sales tax increase. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so there you have it. Mike Fuhrman interviewed Superintendent Brady Johnson and the chairman of the Iredell County School Board, Mark Page, and talking about what they would do with some of the funds and some of the needs that are in the Iredell Statesville school system. So if you haven't done it yet, go to SVLfreenews.com and get your email edition every morning at 5 a.m. And also, if you haven't voted, get out there and vote on Tuesday.